The price you have to pay to follow your purpose. Today I'm gonna talk not about what you gain from following your purpose, but rather what you have to sacrifice or lose in order to live your purpose, in order to be aligned with your purpose. I'm gonna go really deep into it today, so let's get into it right now. As we live in a more capitalistic society, of course our focus naturally goes to gain. If we talk about purpose, we think about gain. What can I gain from this? What can I get from this? Fulfillment, happiness, but also a career path. All these things we think in gain. And I want you to take this more as a perspective of loss, of sacrifice, because there's too much emphasis on gain. Even though there is gain in following your purpose, there's also loss and sacrifice that needs to be made. And this is different for everyone. Everyone has to decide what they have to give up and what they are willing to give up to follow their purpose. And in extreme cases, you can even see people giving their whole life up just to follow their purpose. If you look at Jesus, I know I'm not really a Christian, I know that most of you watching are not Christians, but it's just a good story to bring up. So with all respect to Christians, I just want to talk about Jesus. If you look at his life, did he gain much in his life? If you look at Jesus' life, did he gain money? Did he gain status in his life? Not after his life when he was dead and people started to worship him. In his own life, he suffered. He had to endure this pain on the cross. He had to endure not just that, but the pain of being betrayed by the people. He was just speaking his truth, but he was being betrayed by others, crucifying him on the cross. He lived his purpose, but what did he gain? He wasn't smiling on the cross. He wasn't with a smile wanting to be there. But it was his purpose in his life. And whether you believe in Jesus or not, or what he has done or not, doesn't matter. Just that shows you what sacrifice means. Now this is the ultimate sacrifice, right? This is sacrificing your life. But even before that, there are things you have to sacrifice. There are things you have to give up. And these could be patterns, habits, cycles that you go into, meaningless cycles, meaningless patterns that you're doing. And if you take an honest look at your life and you look at all the things you're doing and look at how many things you're doing from purpose and how many things you're doing that's just random or just a pattern or just some meaningless cycle. If you realize all the meaningless cycles that you have, all the meaningless patterns that you do, from small to bigger things, you start to realize how much you would have to give up to be 100% aligned with your purpose. Now, you're never going to be 100% aligned with your purpose, but to let go of most meaningless stuff would take a lot for most people. Because that's where you get your pleasure from. That's where you get your escape from. You're escaping in what you're doing, in things that are meaningless, in things that are just based on ego in many ways. And that doesn't mean it's all about toxic things. It could be even healthy things. If you have, for example, a strong body and your purpose is not about having a strong body, your purpose is not about being a fitness coach or a bodybuilder or anything like that, then you got to come even to a realization like, okay, it's good that I keep my body healthy, but to what extent should you focus on that before it becomes meaningless, before it becomes something that's just based on how do I look, how do I present myself? It's important to be healthy, that can be meaningful, but to have a strong body, is that really meaningful? And sometimes it is. So this is something you have to ask yourself. So it's even with the healthier things, like having a strong body, is like, is that meaningful? Is the energy that you put into that meaningful or not? And that's why I wanted to say that, because people will think like, okay, my meaningless cycles are only around toxic things. Like if I do something healthy, it's not meaningless. But sometimes it is. Like if you're training to run a marathon so that you then run a marathon and you can be like, look at what I've done, but it has nothing to do with your purpose, then even though that's energy going somewhere that seems to be healthy, is it the aligned path for you? Is it the path for you that is based on purpose? Or is it just something meaningless that you do? Because there's meaning in running a marathon, in the sense of like, okay, it's healthy to run, or it's healthy to work on your body fitness. And maybe for some people, actually their purpose is around fitness. So if your purpose is around fitness, then those things make sense. But for many of you, that's not your purpose. Your purpose is not around being fit. Your purpose is around being healthy, sure, having a healthy body so you can give off good vibes and be healthy and be able to give. But then to what extent, you see? I don't know why I start to talk about fitness all of a sudden. Just was something that came on my mind. Because that's also something that I realized. Was like I was working out a lot and it kind of became meaningless. Like, okay, I have all these muscles and I'm strong and whatever, but how much does that really, how much time and energy do I really need to put into that? I need to be healthy, sure. I need to move my body, sure. But do I need to be super strong? No, I can just walk around. I can just work on cardio. A little bit of muscle training, a little bit here, but not overextending with eating loads of protein and trying to gain muscles to be a strong ego. So a lot of things we do is either to escape, either to build our own ego or status, or to enjoy something. Like you want to enjoy something that's good. You want to enjoy something. You want to enjoy life. I get that. But then there's also over enjoyment in life, and then it becomes pleasure, right? If you enjoy something for a little bit, it's good. It's fine. But if you overindulge into something, it becomes like pleasure. You do it. You need that pleasure in your life. And if I tell you to give up pleasure, to give up things that would help your ego, would help your status, would make you look more successful, would you do it? Would you give that up? Probably most of you wouldn't. Because even though you say you care about purpose, you probably care about your status more. You probably care more about how people perceive you, how people think of you, if people think highly of you. Are you high status? Those kind of things. Those kind of things is what keeps people busy. That's why you have so many people having Instagram pages and focusing on the perfect photo, and then some girl wants her boyfriend to make a photo and it's not good enough. It needs to be better because it needs to be the perfect picture for Instagram. It's just meaningless. You see, all that time that you spent into kind of remaining or focusing on the little bit of status that you have is just a waste of time and energy. Rather, you could focus that energy towards your purpose. So all this time and energy that you put into all these things that are just building some kind of ego or status, or are ways to find pleasure, of escape, all these things, if you let them go, you start to align more with your purpose. And it doesn't mean to be unhealthy. Still be healthy, sure. Eat healthy. But focus on your purpose. Focus on your purpose and focus on things that are meaningless, or focus on letting go of things that are meaningless. This is what you have to give up. And you're not going to give it all up in one day. And I'm not saying that you have to be a perfect person and just give it all up like this. That's not going to be it. Okay, it's going to be a gradual journey of giving up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But that's the sacrifice. And that's quite the easy sacrifice, in the sense of like, okay, like it's already not really good necessarily for me. It's just a meaningless cycle. I mean, it seems good for me because from an ego perspective, but from your soul's perspective, it's not really good for you. Or at least it's neutral. It's not really adding something meaningful to your life. So you got to take a look at your life objectively, not emotionally, objectively. Take a look, where in my life am I spending time on meaningless stuff? And you will realize so much time you spend on things that are so meaningless. You worry and you think about things, and all of this bandwidth is focused on stuff that has nothing to do with your purpose. Once you are able to let that go, you're able to step into your purpose. That's when really, that's when you start to step in your purpose as well, because once you let go of more meaningless stuff, you start to seek more a way to express yourself. Because if you stop consuming stuff and you stop doing meaningless stuff, you want to express yourself in some way. You want to build something. You want to create something. And most likely you're not just going to sit there and do nothing. Most likely you're going to do something. And that's the beginning of your purpose. Just starting and doing something. And then along the way of doing something, you start to realize what doesn't align with you and what does align with you. And you start to lean more towards what's aligned with you. And this is what no one wants to talk about, because it's easy to say, you know, find your purpose, do this and this and that, but no one is willing to sacrifice anything. No one is willing to give up anything. No one is even willing to take half a year to just figure out their purpose. No, they want it right now. Right now, give me my purpose and let me be able to do all of my meaningless stuff. And that's why some of you are not living your purpose, while Jesus gave up everything and was living his purpose. Are you willing to give up everything and live your purpose? Maybe not. I don't say you should. But are you willing to give up a little bit of what you have for your purpose? At least that is something you should be willing to do. And that's what I talk about here today. I'm not talking about giving up your life. I'm talking about giving up meaningless cycles, meaningless stuff that you're doing. So that you have more bandwidth to focus, and time and energy to focus on what is meaningful. And maybe that doesn't even start with your purpose. Maybe that starts with doing something that feels meaningful. It's not your purpose, but it feels meaningful. You're in alignment with meaning. You're in alignment with purpose. And then you start to see more what is going to be the fake direction that you want to go into, and then it starts to become more narrow, narrower and narrower. That's how it goes. Anyways, I want to end this video right here. I hope you got some value from this. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.